Car Obsession is proudly supported by Carly and Draggy. Check out the video description to find out the latest discount codes.
Hello guys, welcome back to Car Obsession and welcome to another walk around. I'm delighted to say this time around I'm joined by the brand new Fl5 Honda Civic Type R. So as always, I will take you around the car, talk you through the specification and give you my first impressions. You may be wondering where I am because I'm not at Goodwood. No, I'm much further north. I'm at the Buttertubs Pass, which is in the Yorkshire Dales, and just take a moment to drink it in. Stunning. And then we've got, oh God, what's that ugly mark on the horizon? Oh, it's just pocket rockets. Oh. I'd like to see you try. Right, anyway, onto the car. So yes, this is of course the Fl5, and if you're wondering what Fl5 means, that is the model code, because I'm nerdy. So yes, I'm going to talk about the car as a model code. So this does look quite similar to the last car, but the look is more grown up. It's almost as if the children that designed the old car, they grew up, looked at the FK8 and thought, actually, it's a bit much, isn't it? And they've toned it down. For what it's worth, I quite liked the design of the FK8. When I first saw this car, when I saw the photos, I was underwhelmed. I didn't like it. I thought it was a bit too rounded. It was almost as if they got the FK8, put it out in the sun for a bit, and it had melted a bit. But in the metal, it is very nice. Now, this is Championship White. It's also available in black, grey, blue, red. I think that's your lot, isn't it? The blue looks really nice, actually, which Chris will vouch for. Racing Blue Pearl, there we go. The man who knows. Now, another change for this car is the size of the alloys. Now, normally car manufacturers, they enlarge their alloys for the new car, but no, Honda has gone the other way. The FK8, that, by the way, it's another model code in case you don't know, but I'm sure you know because you're a petrol head and that's why you're here. The FK8 had 20-inch alloys, which I always thought were a bit overkill for a hot hatch. Now, Honda has switched to 19-inch alloys for the Fl5, and you may think, oh, that means a better ride, but the ride is actually a bit firmer because this car is more rigid. Now, wrapped around the 19-inch alloys, you've got Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tyres, which have a width of 265, the profile is 30, and of course, the diameter is 19. These tyres have performed very, very well today, but you've got perfect conditions for it, so why wouldn't they? Now, another change, actually two changes for the rear, one of which is the rear spoiler. It is lower than before, and it is also wider. And as you can see, it's got a slightly different design to it as well. It's quite a nice design. I still think it looks a little bit aftermarket, and that may sound a little bit mean, but I prefer the old spoiler, but that's personal preference. Having said that, with it being gloss black, sorry, my camera work was very shoddy then. The gloss black complements the Championship White paintwork very nicely. Another change to be found at the rear. Actually, there's another change if you catch my drift. There's three changes I need to talk you through. The second change is the exhaust. Different design to the tips, and the new exhaust is freer flowing, which of course gives you more power. The third change, which popped into my head a few moments ago, hence my very incoherent babbling, is the rear diffuser that has now had a new design and it is larger, and that means better downforce. So yes. Now, whilst I'm here, I may as well show you the boot, which is quite cavernous, in all honesty. I don't know the capacity off the top of my head, and as you can see, as always, it's filled with my filming crap, so we'll cut to a clip where it is a bit emptier, and I will dub in a caption with the capacity. Now, like the standard Civic, you have this somewhat novelty parcel shelf, which looks like it came out of a Christmas cracker. To be fair, it is kind of clever because it's compact, it's lightweight, and this car, you know, it's all about saving weight. But yeah, it's a bit flimsy, isn't it? It's almost as if it's been made out of tissue. But anyway, that aside, now let me take you through to the rear. Actually, no, practicality is boring. We'll come to that later. Let me talk you through what is under the bonnet. Now, if there is a bit of wind noise, I do apologise. As you can see, we're out of the open and we're quite high up, so yes, wind is really an inevitability. Right, can I do this first time? Yeah, practice makes perfect. So it is pretty much the same engine as before. Now I must confess, I don't know the engine code off the top of my head. See, I was going to say K20D1. I would have been so close. Yeah, K20C1. Now, this has got a bit more power than before. This has 329 as opposed to 320. One of the reasons for the extra power is the turbocharger, the turbine blades. They've been reshaped and the number of blades has been reduced. What does that mean, I hear you ask? Well, it means better efficiency. Better efficiency means more power and probably a bit more fuel economy, but that's boring. Speaking of fuel economy, I don't know those figures off the top of my head because life's too short for fuel economy for a car like this. But again, once more, I will dub it in as a little subtitle and caption. But anyway, on to the power. Yes, as I mentioned, 329 horsepower with 420 newton meters of torque. If you prefer that in pound-feet, I will of course drop a subtitle below. Now, one of the many things I love about this car, actually, and another thing to tell you about, the bonnet is now made of aluminium or aluminum if you're American, instead of steel, to save weight. Of course, one of the many things I love about this car is how old school it is. Now, of course, you've got modern tech, blah, 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 but power is sent to the front wheels. No, Honda hasn't gone, oh, we'll do what the Golf R does, or the RS3, or the A45 AMG, and send the power to all four wheels. No, Honda is sticking to its guns and has made this car front-wheel drive, much like every other Type R that has come before it. Now, one of the advantages of doing that is A, the car's lighter, which means better handling and better power and performance, and it also means it's cheaper to manufacture, although, yeah, this car is over £49,000. We'll gloss over that very quickly, shall we? And as well as having front-wheel drive, like a hot hatch should do, really, look at that sticky thing in the middle. Look, that is a 6-speed manual gearbox, a bit of a dying breed. Look at that. Now, another nerdy fact for you, the gear knob has been made heavier for the Fl5 to optimise the gear shift. So it's the little things that Honda's engineers have done, and they all equate to a big package. Now, some of you may be thinking, is this car worth the extra premium over the FK8? As much as I want to be fair to Honda and say yes, I also need to be fair to you guys watching. This is an awesome car. This is a better car than the FK8, don't get me wrong, but is it really worth the premium? No, I don't think it is. I'm sorry, Honda. This car is awesome and arguably the best Civic Type R there has ever been and may ever be. Who knows if we'll get another model? Who knows if we'll get a Type R version of what would be the 12th generation of the Type R. By the way, the Civic Type R is 25 years old now. So, yeah. Oh, hello. Just fell down a ditch. Don't mind me. This is the 6th generation. So, I'm going to nerd out once more and talk through model code. So, you had the EK9, which was never sold in the UK. That was JDM. Then you had the EP3, which I owned. Actually, Chris, you had an EP3 as well, didn't you? And then you had the FN2, which is deemed to be the kind of black sheep of the family. Then the FK2, the FK8, and of course, the present day with the FL5. Also, it's worth noting that the Civic itself is 50 years old. And what kind of cars nowadays can boast that kind of longevity? Yeah, very, very impressive. Now, let me take you onto the interior, because that's where you're going to be spending most of your time if you're lucky enough to own one of these. And the interior is a bit of a peach. For starters, look at these wonderful front sport seats. They're finished in red to make it really loud and proud that this is a hot hatch, and you've got the Type R logo embossed into the headrest. Now, they're not heated, which may come as a disappointment to some of you, but what it lacks in heating, it makes up for in comfort, positioning and support. So let me just park my bottom, which is a pleasure to do in this car. You're sat nice and low in the car and the seat really hugs you, and they're properly comfortable as well. I have found, and Chris has found as well, that after about an hour or so you do get a little bit of cramp setting in, but in my experience, I just adjust yourself a bit and it goes away. Now, engine start button there. Let's close that. Turn on the ignition. So you have a digital display for the new Type R. and that does change with the driving mode. Speaking of which, you have the rocker switch here, which will be very familiar to those of you that own an FK2 or an FK8. So that's comfort. So you have comfort, oh that's overexposed, comfort, sport, plus R, and you've also got individual. So in the individual setting, oh I've lost it. So this gives you an idea of what you can custom. So you can change the engine response, the steering, the suspension, the engine sound, the rev match, and also the gauge. And this is a game changer because it means you can have everything dialed up, but more importantly, you can have the ride set to comfort. Unlike the FK8, which even in plus R mode was pretty compliant on the right road, this car isn't like that. I wouldn't say it's quite as jiggly as the FK2. Put that in plus R mode and you're on the right road to lose your teeth. But this is firmer than it was before. Now in regard to features, of course, you've got the touchscreen, which has the new Honda infotainment system. It is better than before, but I still find it to be a little bit laggy. You've got dual design climate control, you've got front and rear parking sensors, a reversing camera, which hasn't got the best of clarities. It's actually quite poor, but it's good enough to stop you bumping into things. 2 USB ports, wireless phone charging, 12-watt socket. Got good size cup holders, some storage underneath the Alcantara armrest, very nice. It's not adjustable sadly, but it is a nice feature all the same, and you've got plenty of sporty red stitching. And you've also got Alcantara used for the steering wheel, and it is a really nice unit in which to hold. The steering itself has got a lovely weight to it, and yeah, it's just a very pleasing aspect of the car. Open up the door bin, not the biggest, but you can fit a bottle in there, pretty practical. With this being a Civic, you've got the performance of the Type R, but you've still got the practicality of the standard car, which is very, very good indeed. Glove box isn't the biggest, but as you can see, you can fit in a very, very thick manual. Look at that. That is a blunt weapon. You could probably hurt someone quite badly, give them a blow over the head with that. I love this honeycomb grille that runs along the whole of the dashboard, which can be seen on the standard Civic, apart from with the Type R, of course, you get the designated build plate sitting proudly in front of the passenger. Love it. Zoom you guys out. And you've also got a little vent on the right hand side as well. You've also got these strips which light up at night. They glow red, and it just helps to give an extra sporty element to the car. Now, getting a good comfortable driving setup is easy. The steering wheel, as you would expect, has got a good amount of adjustment, and whilst the seat is all manual adjustments, it's pretty easy to find a setup that you are comfortable with. Now, one thing that me and Chris discovered, which is well, I think is a bit unusual, the passenger seat doesn't have a height adjustment. You can slide it backwards and forwards, tilt the backrest, but you can't actually adjust the height. A little bit strange. By the way, red seat belts for the win. I would love to have red seat belts in my cars. Might have to retrofit them. Right, let's turn off the ignition because we don't need that anymore. Now, I teased rear space a little earlier. As always, the driver's seat has been set for me. I'm 6'2", so I am, of course, a taller chap. Let me move my laptop out of the way. I don't want to be putting my weight onto that. So as you can see, even though the seat is set for me, there looks to be a good amount of space left over. So let me slip myself in. Now, I must confess, this is the first time I've sat in the back. And I tell you what, that's properly impressive. And I can fit my feet underneath the seat in front of me. If I bring you to the side so you can see the leg room. Okay, the lighting's quite poor, I apologise, but you can't even see my hand. There we go, my hand's lost in the darkness. But yeah, as you can see, leg room is pretty good. Onto the headroom, which isn't quite as good because this car has got a coupe-like styling. The roofline is a bit raked, and as such, yeah, headroom is a little bit on the disappointing side, but never mind. This car is a 4-seater, so you can't fit 5 people in here, not legally anyway. In the middle, this is a bit interesting. You do have cup holders that are actually built into the seat, so you don't have a centre armrest that comes down, which is a little bit disappointing, but you do have the cup holders. Another thing I'm disappointed by is the lack of charging options. There's no storage here, nor are there any charging ports. I'm just fishing around to see if there's any down here, like there are on the Audi e-tron GT. I don't know why I'm comparing those two cars, but no. So there's no charging ports back here, which is quite disappointing, unless I'm being completely blind. No, I don't think I am. Now, door bins are of a good size. You can fit in a bottle in there. You've got just one hook on this side, which is out of focus, but you get what I mean. No map pockets, but that's not the end of the world. So practicality in the back isn't fantastic, but I am pretty impressed by the legroom, so that gets a thumbs up from me. Right. I can't really think of much else to talk. Well, I can think of plenty of things to talk about this car, but for the sake of a walk around and without spending too long on the video, I can't think of much else to go through with you. I've mentioned the price, like I say, over £49,000. This car is almost £50,000 with the optional championship white paintwork, which does look good, particularly with when it's contrasted by the black detailing. But yeah, as Chris will tell you, the blue is the colour to have, although the white is pretty nice. Yeah, one last walk around the car, one last look at this breathtaking scenery. So as I've mentioned, this is the Buttertubs Pass, a road which Jeremy Clarkson said is England's only spectacular road, and I think he might be onto something there. But yes, one last look at the Fl5 in all of its glory. Fantastic car. I know the styling still might be a little bit too much to take in for some. I get that if you're used to the stealthiness of a Golf R, or perhaps the more restrained looks of the A45 AMG. This might be a bit too much to swallow, but what I will say about this car is don't judge it by its looks. Too many people did that with the FK8 and because of that dismissed it. No. If you get a chance to drive this car, seize it with both hands, because yeah, this, you won't forget it. This is genuinely, well, actually I was going to say one of the best hot hatches I've driven. No, it isn't. This is genuinely one of the best cars I've ever driven. That's how much praise I have to put onto this car. But anyway, I'm babbling. I'm now talking through rose-tinted glasses, so it's now time for me to finish, particularly as me and Chris are very hungry, and yeah, it's getting on and the sun is starting to set. So I do hope you have enjoyed this video. You can't even see me. Hello, I do hope you have enjoyed this video or found it useful. If so, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. There will be a point of view video coming if it hasn't come already, and of course there will be a main review coming again if that hasn't come already. But if you are subscribed, don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. But until the next time guys, be sure to keep up the car obsession.